Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Heffy Doodle YouTube channel. Today I am playing with some fun stamps and dies from Heffy Doodle to create this Slimline Pull Tab card. The first is this Prehistoric Pals stamp set, the Geology Rock stamp set, the Slimline Pull Tab, some stitched dies including the stitched stones and the stitched hillsides, and then this cloudy stencil. This stencil can be used like this, where you cut apart the little tabs and then slip your paper in, or on the website it says you can cut them apart. So I decided to do it and give it a try. I'm also using this slimline border die, and then I'm going to die cut that from white and add some clouds. I'm starting with mustard seed distress oxide ink and using just one of those pieces from the stencil to do my top border of clouds. And then I have some spiced marmalade. I'm doing the second row. Now this looks pretty choppy. The ink blending is, maybe not my best. I'm trying really hard to keep my thumb out of the frame while I'm recording because I'm going to use some Distress Oxide sprays on today's card, and one of them had yet to be opened, and I was trying to cut away the wrapper and I stabbed my thumb. So I have this bright green Band-Aid because of course that's the only one that we could find in the house. So I'm trying to do this ink blending without using my left thumb, and I am going to be splattering and doing all kinds of things here, so it's really okay if my ink blending is not award-winning and amazing. Sometimes you gotta just keep going and it's going to work out in the end. So yes, I know it looks a little crazy town right now. I'm going back over my ink blending with my blending tools and not adding any ink to them, but kind of using the ink that's there to blend this sky together. So my card's going to have a volcano, and I really wanted it to have this like sunset, volcanic explosion look to it. So once that was done, and then I spritzed it with water. So spraying things and splattering things really helps hide a multitude of imperfections. So now I am using my mustard seed distress spray. I sprayed it right on there, and then I took the nozzle out and I'm tapping it to get the bigger splatters. I'm going to wipe that off and put it away, and then I am bringing in carved pumpkin because that's the only orange distress oxide spray I had, and then I'm going to do the same thing. First spray it, and then I'm going to flick on some bigger splatters with the nozzle, the end of the nozzle there. And I love the combination of the fine splatter and the big splatter. So again, I'm going to wipe the top of that off, and then I'm bringing in my candied apple to match the candied apple distress oxide ink that I used. You want to shake these like it's a bell, so you're just like ringing a bell back and forth. You don't want to shake it up and down and be crazy with it. So there's my red splatter, and yeah, it's everywhere. This is really going to give it that exploding volcano look. Now I have these stitched borders, and I just wanted you to know, if you don't have a stitched border that is a slimline, it's okay. You can use what you have and create borders and scenes with the dies that you have. I'm relining it up and die cutting it again so I can have a hillside that expands or extends the entire 8.5 inches of my panel. So then I just flipped the other one over, and now I can line up the two, and I can have a hill in front and a hill in back. And then I cut this largest of the openings that goes with this pull tab die set into the farthest hill. And then I'm going to lay that on my background so I can figure out where I'm going to put the same opening in that panel. I decided to use my pencil, draw a line, and try to line up my die with that. It ended up working out pretty good. I feel like I was pretty lucky. Now I need to create the opening where my recipient will be able to pull that pull tab. So I have 3 layers I need to cut. So I decided again to use my pencil and trace around this part of the die, and then I'm going to cut each of them individually. So here's my pencil. I'm going to trace around that, and you can see only half of this top hill will be cut. So I'm going to cut that one first, taping it into place. I already cut the second one, and then I'm going to trace that to cut out the piece from my background. And then they all lined up pretty good. I did have to trim the background one just a little bit so it didn't show, but it was fine. Pretty good. And then I am cutting out these stitched stones, and then all my stones and my hills are cut from that gray cardstock, and I thought they would look really good with some black soot distress spray. So I'm spraying those, and they look amazing. I did not do any of the splatter with the bottom of the nozzle. What I did for the stones is I just kind of pushed it down halfway. I am stamping these images out that I showed you from the stamp set at the beginning of the video, but here's the weird part. It didn't get recorded after this. So I did stamp them out with black ink. Yep, and I did color them. Here are all the colors that I used. I was really going for a Flintstone look, which is the inspiration behind the colors I used. And now I am going to die cut them out with the coordinating dies. And I'm using my little baby Heffy Doodle die cutting machine because it is perfection. It is so stable. It cuts so well, and it's so tiny, and it fits on my desk, and yet it is a workhorse. I love it. I really do. So now I have all my pieces die cut out and ready to go to create the scene on my card. There's the teeny tiny bone. So cute. I didn't actually end up using the bone. There's all the pieces die cut out, and then we're going to start putting this card together. So first I'm going to glue on my farthest hill, lining up my little openings and making sure everything is good to go before I really press it down. Then I'm going to work on the pull tab. So I die cut 2 of the pull tabs because it's such a long mechanism. I feel better making it more sturdy. So you can see I cut off the side pieces, but I'm going to glue the 2 together so that the center of the pull tab is stronger. Then I'm going to fold in my end pieces in a Z fold type fashion like that. And then those little ends are going to come together and fit through the slot in my pull tab. And then I'll lay those flat, and that's where you can attach your thing that you want to move. There's also a circle in this set, so it just kind of helps that lay flat, and I find it very helpful. Next, I'm going to glue on my front hill. I'm using my Glubert glue, and was ready to go today. It was really coming out. So then I have the arrow piece, so it's like the piece that the recipient will grab onto and pull out, and it helped extend the arm of my pull tab because it was a tiny bit short, didn't quite go all the way to the edge of my card. So that really helped in that way too. Next, we need a stabilizer. So this is included in the die set. So I die cut one out. You're going to glue the centerpiece to your card, making sure that that lever or arm is centered in the opening before you add this on. And then you're going to glue the end piece to the other arm of that stabilizer. Did that make sense? I hope so. But it's going to help your pull tab not move back and forth when you pull it. So now I just cut a little bit away from the opening of the car and his feet. We're just going to pretend they're there, and we're going to glue him to the back of the car so it appears as if he is riding in his little car. And then I'm going to put that onto the circle with a foam square. Now, when I pull this, there was a little problem. I couldn't push it back because when it would go backwards, the car kept hitting the hill. So I actually had to trim that down, I think 2 more times after that, just cutting away a little bit at a time. But now I'm going to add in all my other images. Look at that volcano. It makes me so happy. I love it. And I love that sky. So I added some rocks around there. I popped up the little house. I added my girl and her little pet, and then the rocks that I cut out, I'm putting in and around that bottom hill. So the 2 here I put on the other side of the dinosaur, but then I actually ended up moving the tiniest rock because I felt like I needed to even it out on this side right here. So it hadn't quite dried yet, so I was able to just peel it off and scoot it over, and I like it much better. There we go. Scoot it, stick it down. All right, so now I have adhesive foam tape all around my pull tab mechanism, but not touching it. So there's lift, which makes it easier to grab that pull tab and pull it. So it was still catching there on the hill. So I had to trim a little bit more off. And I think that was the third time I did it. And yeah, it worked way better. All right, so now I'm adding a sentiment that says, have a mammoth day, stamping that in the upper right corner using my VersaFine Onyx black ink. And then I had my mammoth left over, and he's an important part of this card. So he's going on the inside along with the two leftover stitched stones that I had. And I can tell you, these stones have been sitting on my desk for hours. And when I closed my card, some of the Distress Oxide spray transferred to the upper part of the card. I thought that was crazy, and I don't know, I thought I would share it with you. So there is my card for today. I'm in love with the sky on this card, and I just love that you pull the tab and it's like he's driving home to greet his family, and I think it's so sweet. So I just want to thank you so much for stopping by and letting me share my creation with you and one of my favorite Heffy Doodle stamp sets. You can find Heffy Doodle on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter. And I will be back again soon with another Heffy Doodle creation just for you. Bye!